There he goes. Now recording.
Yeah.
Okay, we are now back in stuff.
The eagle
Now,
has landed.
so why don't we introduce ourselves? Okay, um, I'm a Clash Bowley. I'm a publisher, designer, writer, illustrator. I do a lot of stuff. Also a musician. Uh, and I've been doing this RPG stuff since 1976, 1977, November 1977. So it's still it's December now. So uh, you want to go next, Rob?
Sure. My name's Rob Conley. I publish under Bat in the Attic Game. I've been playing since 1978, so I'm a junior here. And uh, and uh, and it started in 2000. I started professionally writing, and eventually went on my own and have a blog. Talk about a lot of things. Willing to talk about a lot of things RPG related.
Okay. And our senior, Bill,
Yep,
you've been
I'm
in the
your
longest.
I well, I'm the oldest, almost certainly.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't remember whether it was 75 or 76. I remember that it was Halloween, and it was after the meeting of the our local science fiction club in New Haven. And this guy John, he was running a game, and then I was playing, and I've been playing ever since. But I don't know which it was, whether it was 1975 or 76. A lot of people
70s were
have.
a blur for me too.
I was going to say, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And I decided I didn't like D&D, but I loved the concept, and I was grateful as hell for them for coming up with it and introducing it on that level. But I didn't like D&D. I didn't like a lot of it was hard to visualize being the person. Playing it I could do, but running games or designing stuff for it I just couldn't bother. So I created my own system. We just were going to play it. There was no thought of publishing it. It did pretty good though with our local community. More GMs than I were running it. Anyway, I published it when it became simply a matter of putting a PDF online in 2017, and I came up with the second edition last year
Excellent.
or early this
Good.
year.
So the second edition descended from that original system you developed all the way back in the 70s?
Oh yeah. If anybody would possibly be interested, and if my memory could be trusted, I could give you a an evolutionary tree of my game, and point out that a couple people stopped along the way. I mean, there was a guy and his wife, and they took turn game mastering. And I didn't much play in their game, but I knew them, and they talked to me about it, and they were running my rules. But by the time I got to publish the rules, they weren't running the same game, and I was only casually in contact with them. So the
Now you
rules
said you
did.
didn't like D&D, which is fair enough. And you know, famously Ken St. Andre thought D&D was stupid, but liked the idea and came out with Tunnels and Trolls. But what struck you about the idea behind D&D that captured you? Because back then that was the height of wargaming. You know, Avalon
Well,
Hill, SPI. What
well,
struck you as different?
well. For one thing, and Gygax wrote about this later, but it didn't matter because I mean he's right. That's what they did. They put all your chances of surviving in your hit points, and then inflated your hit points every year. And every time I ever sparred with somebody, if they were good, they were hard to hit. It wasn't that they were harder to hurt; they were harder to hit, and I could visualize that a combatant becoming harder to hit as they become more advanced. And the players in my game. Nobody quit because of it, but we still called it D&D at that point. There were a lot more changes. Like I said in my doctoral dissertation, I might go through that.
Okay. Who wants to breach a topic and start talking about it? Bill?
Well, Bill?
Bob? Rob?
Well, Bill, I mean, you want to lead off?
Um, well, there was this mention of gaming-related novels, but
Yes. I was going to talk about it.
well, I'm afraid I wrote two, but I
Ah.
don't think
Okay.
I don't think I like the idea all that much.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't meet the criteria that you have a some kind of device to control the world around you. They aren't, strictly speaking, what people mean by that, but they are gaming-related novels. And one of them was because I wrote a biography of a. It's a biographical novel of a fictional character,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a goblin player character. So some people were interested enough to ask me to write it, so I did.
I love that. And what was his name? Parkinson wrote a biography of Horatio Hornblower.
Oh, I got to get hold of that.
Northcote Parkinson's, I think is his name. It's fascinating. It's very, very interesting. So you wouldn't be the first one who did it.
Mm.
See Northcote Parkinson.
Now, did you
and-
publish your two books, or you just wrote them?
They're on drive-through. I don't believe in producing physical books. I don't think it's necessary. And if people don't want to buy my product because it's cheaper and handier, but they want a physical book, they can. I'm not gonna do physical books.
Well, I'm not going to either. I do physical books, but it's not my focus. My focus has always been on PDFs. Because I have one of these and I use it all the time for all my reading, or almost all my reading.
Well,
I do
remember,
have,
they can't see us. So, what is one of you have one of what?
it's a
Oh,
Kindle. It's a regular old e-ink Kindle, not the fancy ones that actually get the internet or
Okay.
anything.
They cast hold person. I'm Bill.
I think so. Looks like you're stuck, Bill. You still there, Bill? I think you dropped out.
Good job. Yep.
Yeah. There he goes. All right. Hopefully he'll be coming back. Oh, there he
Yeah,
is.
there we go.
Yes.
I'm back, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Show versus tech.
We
I don't
talked
know what
about the
happened.
novels.
They're on.
He loves his Kindle, and I love my Kindle as well. And although it's kind of pricey for what you get out of it, but they're making. You guys heard of the Remarkable?
No.
Okay, well, imagine a something like the Kindle, but it's 8.5 by 11, but it's more focused on writing and keeping notes.
Oh, okay.
And the downside is it retails for about $400 to $500. So
Yeah,
if it was $200, it'd be totally worth it.
you're right.
And I was lucky that I got mine for free.
Oh,
But I love it, and the nice thing about it is it's good for reading PDFs.
well, I do a lot of that.
And the fact it's 8.5 by 11 makes it really easy to read it at full scale, which I really appreciate.
I have a friend, a frequent collaborator, Michael Scott, who was one of the very first RPG writers. He did the original Star Trek game.
Oh,
and he's worked with me on a couple different projects, and he loves to print. I'd love to have him on sometime as a guest. That would be a lot of fun.
Indeed.
Uh, I don't think he's not as old as Bill, but he's getting there. He's been around a long time.
He will never be as old as I am at that moment.
That's right.
All right. Before I forget, speaking of age, so
Yeah.
Bill, do you still have that first draft or a copy of it still floating around of your glory rolls?
I can just visualize the red envelope, the red folder, the blue folder. That was written down by hand, and I
Mhm.
probably had it for like 3 moves, but probably didn't make it for the fourth. I'd
The
love
reason
to
I
have it now.
asked, reason I asked is, people would want to play your latest edition, but in terms of just scanning any of whatever the oldest thing that you have on hand, scanning it, these days people eat that up. They don't care if it's in rough form. They just like to see what it actually you worked with back in the day. So keep that in mind if you dig out your old notes, if you have anything,
Oh,
people.
that's an interesting thing to be thinking about. I didn't realize anybody'd be interested.
Oh yeah. I mean, heck, I know we don't have viewers, only listeners, but so you guys can see, people ate this book up and what is this book? And the centerpiece of this book is out there here is the original manuscript of D&D, you
Ha!
know?
Hmm.
And it's like got scribbled notes. It's not a polished product by any means. But
Right.
people just love being able to read the actual, you know,
Original thoughts.
yeah.
Wow.
So, so don't you know, just be honest about what you're showing them, and they'll like it.
Hmm. You see,
Well, go ahead.
think people would be interested in that in proportion to how many people were interested in the subject themselves.
I'm thinking the same thing for me.
Sure.
And what I've got, first of all, another product. I have people wanting to play 2 sessions a day, 7 days a week now.
Hmm.
Nice.
Except I fence some sessions off and say I'm not playing that afternoon. But I haven't done anything creative since I started getting a lot of volume.
Hmm.
And I like it, and I like it this way.
Okay.
Well, that's cool. So you have a lot of interest in your second edition then.
No, just a lot of people who want to play on my Discord server, and by a lot I mean enough to keep me playing. I'm playing with 1, 2, maybe 3 people. We don't have enough people for me to be running for like 9 people. I don't like running for more than 3 or 4 people online.
Hmm.
I may
Sure.
have had
Yeah,
enough.
that's a
I wasn't really happy running for 9 or 10 or 11 in live, but
Hmm.
I can certainly run for 6 people or 7.
Yep.
I wouldn't try that online.
no. I cap out the best I've been able to do and still remain fun with about 6 people.
6 is
I
good.
had eight people sessions, 9 people sessions, and it's a little hard to juggle.
I don't know if it was actually on the first recording or not, but we had I had 13 people at a time. Over half of them women, by the way.
Mm,
Um, Playing in my original D&D game, the 20-year campaign.
Hmm.
Um, and it was mad. It was crazy, but I got through it somehow. Enough people dropped off, so it went down to about 8, I think, and stayed that way, 6 to 8 people for the rest of the run. But
Impressive.
yeah.
You know, it's sobering to think that. I mean, it's sad that Gygax and Aronson passed away when they did for
Hmm.
Bloodsaw, but on the other hand, it's sobering to think that we might actually wind up having more experience at running tabletop role playing than the original authors.
Yep, that's true.
I'm sure lots of people do by now.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah,
had
I
very
mean,
formative. They had to create what they were running, so they
Right.
were closer to it to some extent.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, in 3 years, it would be 50 years of me playing role playing games in one form or another.
Hmm.
Well,
And
it's
2
either
years for me.
49 or 50 for me.
Yeah.
Uh, I just can't. I really have a hard time. Does anybody know if anybody has researched people starting to do something resembling a role playing game or actually playing a role playing game, but maybe never publishing it, so that's why it would be hard to find anyway? But do you think people thought of the idea before Arneson and Gygax?
Well, there was that thing that was they talk about on the pub, the RPG pub, with the Western, um, the guys who were doing the Western role playing. It just became it evolved into a basically what I would consider an RPG. It was originally not. It was originally a war game,
Mm-hmm.
but they kept focusing more in on the characters more and more. They became characters instead of just pieces.
Well, if
Okay,
you
that
there's a book and it's available in the Internet archives. It's by a gentleman, I think Michael Korn. Let me check his first name. Wrote War Two War Game. Let's see. Yes, his name is Michael Korn, and his whole stick with his miniature war game was to run it in a way that you're in the point of view of a squad commander
Hmm.
and fighting out the battle. And there is this chapter that reads like a tabletop role playing
Right.
session, which leads to my point. However, and people will bring that up all the time, but when you read the entire chapter and the entire book,
Hmm.
then you see the context where that occurred. It's
Right.
very much a wargaming, just from the individual soldier's point of view. There is
Right.
no sense of a larger narrative. The focus is still on whatever the scenario of the game.
Right.
So it's just like it was just a more immersive way of running Squad Leader. Okay.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah. Yep.
And so when you look at the Brownsteins and
Hmm.
the early Western gunfight,
That's the
um,
one. Yeah.
when I read the when I read the context of it, it was still very much scenario based,
Yes.
and it, so that's why I would contend that Dave Aronson's uh, Blackmore campaign was the first true role playing campaign, but it became the first true role playing game because when you read First Strategy Campaign, I get the impression that the first half of Blackmore was really a wargaming campaign
Hmm.
where they weren't really running armies, they were running characters. There was a Brownstein where they were characters were commanders of
Right.
armies.
Yep.
So like Korn, it was run from the perspective of uh, individual character. But my theory is that he ran the Blackmarsh dungeon,
Hmm.
okay, and the players liked it so much that they wanted to venture into Blackmarsh uh, dungeon to the exclusion of the larger law versus chaos conflict. And you can read this in the account that Dave
Yep.
wrote about in First Fantasy Campaign, where the law players actually lost. because they were too busy adventuring in the dungeon. And the Chaos players, which were not run by Dave, and people forget about this point, they were run by other players, took advantage of this and took over Castle Blackmarsh. And the law players were exiled to Lake Glooming.
Yep.
But instead of saying, "Oh my God, we got to retake Castle Blackmarsh," most
They
of
had too
them were
much fun.
saying, "Hey, there more dungeons to explore?" And Dave, to his credit, being the nice guy he is, said, "Fine, if you want to do dungeons." I mean, he'd rather run the law versus chaos, but he liked the fact that the players liked his dungeon. So the campaign Blackmore steadily became more uh, dungeon focused to the point that at the end of First Fantasy campaign or in the introduction, he laments that, well, the players are only interested in playing in the dungeon. Hopefully, they'll get together and the old campaign can rise like a phoenix. But I guess they'll just run the dungeon until that happens. So I think that was the key moment when what the players wanted to do became more important than the scenario of the campaign.
Right.
And that's when the role playing was truly born. And I think with Western Gunfight, the same evolutions happened through the second and third edition. They heard about what's happening with Dungeons and Dragons, with
Hmm.
Blackmore and Dungeons and Dragons, and that cross pollinated. So that's why Western Gunfight became became more role playing. But it's just that whole key of saying, if we focus not on the playing out a scenario, but just letting the players do whatever, the result rapidly becomes a role playing game.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's my insight. Although people will argue with me, you know, they'll argue with
Pe-
me about it, but that seems to
People
be
are Rob. People argue about everything.
No, we don't.
yeah.
So yes, it doesn't matter how good your theory is. People are going to argue because they're people. That's just the way people are.
Well, the other thing
I
about
do
it,
know that when Dungeons and Dragons arrived in my area, it was like a thunderbolt. It was like so different. It was obviously different than the war games, the SPI and the
Yes.
Avalon Hill war games we were playing.
I was a big Wargame player, so I know exactly what you're talking about. We used to do a lot of kit bash war games where we just take components from different games and just kit bash them.
Sure.
ah,
Did you ever do that, Rob? Uh, Bill?
Uh, Go
no,
ahead, Bill.
not exactly that. We had we had several war games where we decided they didn't have the historical facts right, so
Mm-hmm.
we changed some of the stats,
Yeah.
and usually in favor of this one guy who liked to argue, and the rest of us just wanted to play. But I wasn't a big war gamer. I
Yeah.
do like them. I do, and I have played some, but it's not a major focus of mine.
I used to have quite a few war games in my closet. They've gradually, I don't know, I've probably given them away over the years because I just don't play them anymore. I'm just too busy with other things.
Well,
But I used
Yeah,
to
the only
do it a
thing
lot.
I kept after my Great War Game purge, I have more up here, but there were bought since the Great War Game purge,
Hmm.
and only a few. But Starfleet BattleTech,
Hmm.
and Victory Game, Civil War Victory Games.
Okay.
There was pretty much intact. It was the most intact of one of it, and then I'm a Civil War buff, and
Yep.
I kept one of my Civil War war games, but the rest, the components were smashed, or I had an online version
Hmm.
of it that I could just easily set up and play,
Right. Yeah.
and so I purge it, and then I bought a few like Triplanetary.
Hmm.
Uh, Trouble in Waterdeep, and
Okay.
but those were few and far between. But as far as reusing war games, I didn't do too much with that. But I had a friend. We had a war game called Swords and Sorcery,
Hmm.
which was one of SPI's war game where it had a little bit of role playing element. It wasn't a role playing game. It just
Right.
had characters alongside the traditional hex encounter battles that you fought,
Right.
and it was important what the characters. War of the Rings was one of them, and
Yep.
Swords and Sorcery was another one. But that was his campaign when he ran Dungeons and Dragons. He used Swords and Sorcery as his campaign
Oh,
source book, and he used the map.
Hmm. Uh, Kit bashing, we would actually come up with our own rules because we would just merge parts and game boards, kits. Everything is up. We put it in, we throw it all together, we make up our own rules, which are usually pretty standard rules. War games they're not that
Did you
different.
use that Avalon Hill combat resolution table all the time?
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, that was like
It.
in 6 or 7 games, so you had extras of those charts hanging
Absolutely.
around.
So yeah, we used
yeah.
to, we used to do that before I got into. Well, I was a musician, so I lost a lot of time for a couple of years. I was playing, gigging a lot. Then I left music and became my. As I said, my mother gave me D&D, and I'd heard about it for a couple of years. And people have been telling me about it, and I like thought about it, but I never actually picked it up. She gave it to me, and it was that was it. That was what I did next.
Yeah, I tried
Who
to turn
met?
my Waterland into a war game, but the hexes were too small. And the
Yeah.
funny thing is, when I hooked up with Bob Bledsaw Sr. in the early 2000s, we got to talk chatting. He said, I had casually mentioned that, yeah, those maps, I really wanted to use them for wargaming, but the hex was too small. And he gave me like a half a page of that was one of his big regrets that he undersized the hexes. He really wanted them to be standard war game size.
Yep.
That's
He always regretted that. How about you, Bill? Did you do much wargaming, hex encounter, or miniature?
some who made the regimental level Gettysburg.
Hmm.
I don't remember who made it. We played it on a neighbor's garage floor because there were 6 of us playing it, and the map was that big.
Yeah.
And I played that for 3 days, and I think that was a career in wargaming. But I played a few. I played sporadically. I
Yeah.
wanted to play the War Games Research Group rules for ancients, but I didn't want to buy all those miniatures.
Right.
And I don't know why somebody didn't make a computer program taking advantage of the 6th edition of War Game Research Group. Those rules were so great.
Hmm.
Well, which war game was this? I didn't hear the title.
War Games Research Group did all kinds of wonderful games that you had to have an army of metal miniatures to play. So I've played them, but not when I didn't own an army, so I only helped out.
Hmm. I never got into miniatures, so I preferred the hex and shit ones.
I like those. Okay, I just don't remember any of them as being very memorable, except that Gettysburg that took us. It took us 2 very long days
Uh huh.
to play a 3-day battle.
Oh yeah, I owned the two I owned that were what we consider monster war games.
Yeah.
I owned the First World War. Boy, that thing filled a ping pong table. And
Uh-huh.
I,
That's big.
I owned GDW's, all 4 sets that belonged to GDW's Third World War uh, series.
Is that related to the Traveler 2000?
No, No, this is part of their wargaming.
Okay.
It was just a straight up war game.
Okay.
It was pretty good. You know, the Russians would bum rush you, and their units were hard to beat. But then once you gained air superiority as NATO, you would just start carpet bombing them, and by the time they get halfway to the Rhine, you stall them out, and then you can start hitting back with your U.S. units who finally arrived, and start pushing them back to East Germany.
Sounds like fun.
What year is that set in? Vaguely.
They said it in 1985.
Okay, that sounds like how it would go.
Yeah, for 1985, yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Well, now Russia ain't going to be invading anybody but the Ukraine.
And
They're
not very
doing a
well
very
with
good
that.
job with that. Yeah,
Right.
turned into a World War I slugfest. Didn't
Yeah.
expect that to happen.
No.
Well, the Eastern Front was.
Go ahead.
Well, the Eastern Front was post trench warfare. They were fighting like early World War II people thought.
Right.
And the Western Front was in the trenches, all bogged down. So
Right.
until Russia collapsed, the Eastern Front was more militarily modern.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yeah, and they had a broader area where they couldn't just trench up from sea to Switzerland.
Right.
That was weird. My grandfather went through it too.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was in the Merchant Marines, and he sailed on a converted wooden sailing ship, converted to steam, and dodging U-boats.
Ha! Wow.
Yep.
My father was born in 1919 during the last pandemic, the Spanish influenza.
Oh, okay.
His father was not. His father was he was an engineer, and he was too busy with engineering shit. So he was a civil engineer, building roads, building airports, that kind of stuff. And my father was a mechanical engineer. So
Nice. Well, you're in engineering. You're in engineering of sound.
I kind of do that, yeah. I do put sound together. That's my job now.
It's not an easy task. I can't do it.
Oh, whatever you like. Bill knows because Bill was a musician too. I know.
Oh, yeah, briefly, and started out unwilling.
Oh,
Oh, I did. I played a harmonica a little, but I had never picked up a bass. And our bass player, the story varies. At the time, we thought he'd just left the band. He turned up in jail somewhere, so the story varies how he got into jail. But anyway, I have to pick up a bass. She teaches me some basics. We played a gig on Thursday. That was great.
mm-hmm.
But they used my lyrics. Eventually, they let me play the harmonica a little, but I was never allowed to sing.
Yeah, because of my hearing loss, I'm tone deaf. But I was always interested in music, and I thought when I heard a MIDI keyboard in the late '80s, I thought that would be the ticket. Then when I got a PC, I got an ad-lib sound card with a MIDI interface. No, I got an ad-lib sound card, so I had sound on my PC XT, and then I got a MIDI interface card, so I could hook it up to the keyboard and record music.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out that, well, I can do things with one hand, but the two-handed keyboard playing was always a step beyond my grasp. And frankly, there are other things I wanted to do creatively with my time than like writing my stuff up that
Right.
that took my interest. But it was still kind of neat, just being able to play on the keyboard and have the notes appear in the DOS MIDI program I use, and then you could play it out and change what instrument was playing, and that was neat technology.
Yeah, it was. Um, I started out. It's funny because I started out as a bass player. That was what I loved. I loved bass, and I developed a style that was counter melodic. It was counter melody based. So rather than hitting the roots of the chords, I was playing around them, along with and against the vocals. And I loved playing bass, but they found out I could sing, and and I cannot play bass and sing at the same time because of my style of bass playing was opposite what the vocals are doing. So it didn't gel. It never gelled. I could only like thump away at a single note rhythmically. That was about it. Um, so I left bass and picked up the guitar and just learned to strum it. So that's what I did. Um, I had several bands. Was in a lot of different bands. Uh, Actually, through high school, that was like where I earned my money was gigging gigging in bars, even though I was a minor. That was the thing. Back in those days, you could actually make a decent living gigging as a cover band.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you could make it, especially a town like Boston. It was a rocking town. Lot of opportunities to play. And so then I got a band together. I wanted to do my original music. I'd been writing songs and started doing that. Um, Picked up some friends who played with me. One of them was my drummer was a fellow artist from the high school, and he's now a, a professional artist. That's what he does. He does impressionist style oil painting. And but he was the drummer, and we found a bass player and a guitarist, and we just started doing another guitarist, and we started doing stuff. Um, Enjoyed the hell out of it, but then things fell apart for me, and I just left. I left music. Just wasn't happy with how things were going. So I didn't come back to music until 2018. Long time, 40 years. I just didn't do it. And everything, I had forgotten everything. Except I knew what I was doing up here, but my fingers had no clue what they were doing. I lost all my my motor nerves, uh, motor nerve memory, muscle memory. That's what they call it, muscle memory.
Muscle memory, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how should a character in a role playing game age?
How should they?
Well, that's what I'm asking. Do you keep track of the passage of time? Do your characters age?
I have the advancement in my games, the Star Cluster system that I created, has been from the very beginning. You progress by age. You get older. You learn new stuff. That's how it works. It's entirely in character. There's no hit points. No, I mean no hit points. There's no
No experience point.
None. Yeah. It's absolutely not there.
But how?
So,
well,
so that's characters get older, and as they get older, um, in Star Cluster you hit 34. Before this, you're pretty steady as far as your once you reach your peak and your as a teenager, your physical peak. Then you kind of coast until your mid 30s, and then in your mid 30s you start to taper off. You start losing.
tell me about
stats.
it.
Yeah, oh, I know. It's exactly true. It is true, and that's as you get older, you have more skills, but you're since the your attribute is your TN, your target number. You roll under. The lower the attribute, the harder it is to get anything. So you get more skills. You're better at things, but you're not. I use dice pools, D20. That's my favorite one. I have a whole bunch of them, but they all count successes. That's how it all works. And so the main one is the one that I use a lot is your number of D20s plus one of your rank and skill. So if you're your skill plus three, you would have 4 dice, right? And then you roll those against the attribute and you count the number of successes you make. And that would give you a number between 1 and 4. And that is how you play the game. That's how everything is keyed on that.
Including aging.
Yeah.
Or is aging? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a way of realistically following how my characters age in my games that I run, but they either retire or die much earlier than their life expectancy.
Right.
So I don't have to keep track. But if they go and father kids and stuff, then I have to keep track, which is why I try to avoid that. But they're people.
In both of the 20-year campaigns, I played I told you the D&D one that was a 20-year campaign, and one that's still currently running in Star Cluster. And both of them started out with most of the players are playing different characters. They're basically, many of them are descendants. They're the sons and daughters of the original ones, and because it's been about 20 years since they played, they either retired, they might have died. There's a lot of things that could have happened. So the children are and both of them ended up the same way.
So how many sessions do you usually play a year, Clash?
I play one every other Sunday. Rotating one every other Sunday. So every Sunday I'm playing a game. So it's a session every Sunday. I'm playing on Wednesdays. I play on Tuesdays, and I'm going to be starting playing one on Saturdays. So that's going to be right now. There's 3 games a week. Every week.
And are those 3 games different groups?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So for
actually,
one group,
all 4 games are different groups, but I'm not. It's not. The 2 sessions are on alternate Sundays, so yeah, I can count them as effectively the same allocation.
okay, so each group is basically once a week or bi-weekly?
Yeah, either once a week or bi-weekly.
Okay.
The Saturday one's going to be monthly.
And when you count holidays, so you if you're lucky, you get together about between 40 and 45 sessions a year, a calendar year.
Probably that, yeah.
And so how much in-game time passes in those 40 to 45 sessions? I'm curious about that number.
It depends if I'm playing in real life or I'm playing online. I get a hell of a lot more done online.
Okay.
Playing by first I played for a long time, but with the IRC, and then I moved to Discord, and I've been working on Discord ever since, and always text, because text does 2 things. It makes you think about what you're doing, and it's really, you don't kibitz. You don't start babbling and drifting the topic. That's a horrible problem I have with my in real life game. They love to just get off a topic and just start talking, chatting, because they're all friends.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but on average, how many in-game years passed during your campaign? 1 year for 45 sessions of calendar year, real world
Yeah,
calendar?
about that. Yeah.
Okay, so effectively each session's about 1 to 2 weeks of real time, or in-game time.
Not because we have gaps. We'll skip ahead.
Okay.
We don't every play everything out. We're playing out with the meat of what we want to do. So
Yeah. So
I'm
in my campaigns, I have I guess you can call it it's a consequence. I wouldn't
mhm.
say it's a problem, but pretty much players just really, the way I run things, players just really want to live out the day of the daily life of their character. Not
Yes.
It's not so much the minutia. It's they're afraid to get caught behind. So they're
Hmm.
always doing something every day in furtherance of whatever goal that they would do. And they just will, even when it's I have, if they want to take downtime to work on stuff,
Hmm.
that's always been an option, but they just rarely, if ever, take it because they always feel like if the world will pass them by if they take any downtime.
Mm. Yeah.
So what
I just
happens is my campaign wind up being a narrow slice of a character's life. So things like aging rarely come into play.
Right.
And since we rarely pick up the same characters to the next campaign, they usually make up a new bunch of characters. Then
Hmm.
what happens is those old characters, they still become part of the backdrop of the campaign.
Right.
And as the year, and then for the next campaign, I'll jump ahead 2 years, 1 or 2 years in my
Hmm.
timeline, and I will update all the past characters. And I'll ask the player, hey, what do you want your guy to be doing in these 2 years? But we don't actually role play it out.
Right.
So aging is rarely a factor in game, if ever.
Hmm.
So that's why I'm interested in games like yours to see how you handle it, given the differences.
It generally
well,
so yeah. Generally speaking, we try to the idea of the star cluster. You play out the interesting part of that year, whatever that's going to be, and I generally keep to about a year in game time to a year in real life.
I don't know if I've planned that.
Yeah.
I know what date it is in the campaign I'm currently running,
Hmm.
but I don't really know that I could uh, run it on a more on a basis that coincided with any particular human earthly time. I mean, it's a fantasy world.
Hmm. It might be that I generally play much more science fiction than fantasy.
Hmm.
I do play fantasy. I've written fantasy games, but I preferentially I've written many science fiction games, all based on the uh, same system,
Well,
which
Yeah,
is
I re-
and my players talk about, I guess it's are we always interested in trying the Great Pendragon campaign,
oh yes.
and uh, and they were never opposed to that, but we just never got around to it. And our regular campaigns, just never worked out like the Great Pendragon campaign. It just, so like I said, the players don't want the world to pass them by, so they're just go go go. They're always on the move,
Hmm.
and so I'm lucky in 2 years of role. My average campaign lasts for about 2 years
Hmm.
uh, before the next major jump, and I'm lucky to cover a year of game time within those 2 years of weekly or biweekly sessions.
may be running into that problem because I'm running so many sessions.
Yeah, you're running a lot.
I'm gonna have to start thinking about it, and I deeply resent. anyone putting me to those tasks.
Mm.
Well, you know what Gygax said? If you can't run a real campaign unless you keep accurate time records.
I agree with that, by the way, because time's real important.
Yep.
Yeah, I keep track of I have a calendar that I keep. There's some actually there's some excellent online calendars that I use. See if I have ready access. I have a link to it in there. I got so many things open. Boom, boom, boom. Where is it? Yeah, calendar. Yeah, it's called app.fantasy-calendar.com, and it's free,
Oh,
and you can customize them.
that sounds like fun.
And I use that to kind of make notes as I go along.
So the fantasy game that I wrote, which was called Cradle of Worms,
Mhm.
Takes place on a very idiosyncratic world, which may or may not be carved by God into the back of a giant turtle flying through space.
Gotcha.
And it has some really different time considerations because it doesn't have the same uh, flow of like a regular year.
Okay.
Yes, it's periodic, but it's like the moon doesn't move; it's always in the same position in the sky.
Interesting.
And there's a lot of weird little things that it does. The moon includes different constellations in uh, the astrology of the world. What it includes is important because that is taken out. The moon has always been your protector. The moon is universally thought of as a good thing, whereas the sun is not. The sun can kill you. It burns. The moon doesn't. It gives you light without heat.
Huh.
It's just a different twist on things. It's got the whole thing is set up with all the astronomy is part of the game because some of the characters use it. Some of the types of characters. I like doing stuff like that. It's fun exercise. I've got science fiction games that are set in a gas torus around a neutron star, which is based on Larry Niven's book.
Ring World.
No, not Ringworld. It's a gas torus. It's
The
what's
smoke
it?
ring.
Smoke ring. Yes, smoke ring. Yes,
I love
Smoke.
those books. I thought that was
I loved them
cool.
too, and always wanted to set a game in it, and so I did.
And there's
Yeah, they lived on these floating tree-like plants, huge redwoods. We're talking
Right.
redwood huge, but they have an interesting life cycle in that they would ignite in the middle or something, and one end would shoot out that way, and the other
The
end
other
would
one
shoot out. And they
because
had to
of
be
time.
really aware when it's about to happen.
Yep, because it's
Yeah.
tidal forces. I love it was just a brilliant series. There's two books. I loved them. I wish he had gone more, but he never did. Of course, mine is different. There's a lot of different stuff in there. It doesn't have the integral trees. That's the name of the first one, integral trees.
Right.
Yep.
Because
And then
Yep.
the second
the
was
giant
smoke ring.
trees look like integral signs.
Yep. Yeah, it had the curve like that, like an integral sign.
Because it's one end had different prevailing winds in the other end.
Right.
Mm.
So I love that kind of interesting setting. I love doing settings like those. It's just a lot of fun for me. They get weird.
Well, I think I sort of cheated on my building. I just assumed these continents were in different places on the same planet in the same area,
Yeah,
pretty much Earth.
right.
And I never thought of it, but I took the easy road.
I've done that too.
So I
Um,
have another RPG topic if you guys are interested.
yep.
Okay, on the RPG Pub, a recent thread about layout cropped up.
Oh, yes.
So, what are your opinions on layout?
It's not my talent.
That's one you delegate?
That's when I try, if I can, yes. I usually end up doing it. I'm not real talented at it. It's not my thing.
Yeah,
But do you have a preference when it comes to the book you buy for yourself?
Yeah, it's basically clean and readable. Number two, one and two, clean, readable. So I can just look at it, catch it, snaps in. That's good. I like, I actually do a lot of graphic text where the text is positioned differently depending on what it's trying to do for explaining different things.
Okay. What are your criteria? What are some of the categories or criteria for the different graphics layout you have?
Just just like I said, that it really be that you can see and understand it as quickly as possible. At least on a TLDR sense, too long didn't read. You catch the main idea of what you're trying to do from a very quick look. I like that. That is
that's
something that's an art form.
that sounded like a Reddit question that I answered. The original thing
Yeah,
about the. Is that the source of that?
I think it was. I think it's something about a Reddit thread. I'm not a Reddit. I don't know. My son is.
Yeah, the post had cited two Reddit articles. One
Yeah,
was which was the worst layout you ever seen,
yeah,
and the other one was what's the best layout you ever seen.
yeah.
Oh, the question I answered was something like, "What are good books with bad layouts?" And
Yeah,
I
I think
confess,
I think that was actually the second one. Something more like that. Good books with bad layouts. No, good books with bad layouts was the first one, I think, if I remember
well,
correctly. I did
they
go
were.
over to Reddit to look at it.
Ah, I'm afraid to do that at the same time as I'm doing this.
Well, what about you, Bill? What do you consider good layout, or what layout style you like to use?
I prefer not to use. I prefer to use single column,
Mhm.
and I don't know any terms for what the layout's supposed to be. You see, my editor broke up with me.
Uh-oh.
Same thing happens to George Lucas.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Oh, okay.
Broke up with him after The Empire Strikes Back,
Mm,
and he hasn't been the same since.
well, I can believe that.
Yeah.
Well, my style is I'm inspired by what GDW did with Classic Traveler, with some caveats. I mean, they didn't re- they didn't really use uh, graphical, like their tables were plain, everything was plain, but they had a really strong black and white layout. And a few times, like on their deck plans, where they had like nice borders and stuff like that, I really like that.
Hmm.
So when it comes to my own stuff, that's what I uh, I try to do. When in doubt, I look at GDW and then I maybe update just a little and then go from there.
I could just grab something. This is my own layout, and I'll show you some. This is just building an association,
Okay.
which is all my games have that. You build an association, you're all part of the association, and it supplies it supplies funding, it supplies material, it supplies bases, all that kind of stuff, depending on what you're doing. This is a graphical text over here. That's what I was talking about.
Gotcha.
Is so these are life paths. Basically, these are template trees.
Nice use of flow diagrams.
And let's see what else I got in here. Here's another one. Talks about how skills work, how specialization works with a skill.
Okay. You illustrate part of that with a graphic, I see.
Yep.
And you have in the lower left corner, you have like a little offset. I assume that highlights another important
Yeah.
concept.
Right. This is, for instance, this tells you in the thing that you can find some recommended specializations of the main skill under this listing of the skill, and the listing of the skill is there, and that's actually cut from the listing of the skill, and that's like 5 different suggested specializations of the machine skill.
Nice.
And you can see, I'll show you the original. This is it. That's just cut from this one, which is coordination-based skills. This machine's right at the top. So that shows you what the kinds of things I do. These are different settlement types. This is for a solar system campaign.
So you use a lot of silhouettes, I take it?
Yeah, I like to use silhouettes because they're nice and clean.
Yeah,
silhouettes.
For those listening and doing your own product, I would consider judicious use of silhouettes. One of the artists I engaged for my Northern Marches, he does silhouettes. Like you'll see a side profile of a battle going forth. And so I can, like 3 or 4 of the 30 pieces I commissioned from him are silhouettes of various scenes. And it can be quite striking. And for it's easiest to apply, like along the bottom of the page, it's can be pretty striking.
You'll notice it's not a lot of wall of text stuff. I don't like that. I used to. I got my cues originally was supposed to look like Gygax right?
Yeah. Well, the font size was maybe a tad small, but what I prefer is digest sides, and this is the kind of that way I can stick the single column.
It actually looks similar to what I have. It does, the layout.
Yeah. So
I can't show mine.
Because you don't have any print, right?
Right. And style-wise, it's pretty much, and even the second edition is pretty much an instruction manual of how to play the game. I don't think the game makes much effort to sell itself.
Right.
And I guess I'm responsible for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as an instruction manual, I think it works. And I think people are more, even though they were second thoughts, all the settings I've published, people seem to like them, and maybe that's more attractive than the rules. I don't know.
Rules are what they are. Different rules. I liked your rules, by the way. I did read the book that you sent me.
Well, I've read most of yours and I liked it. I'm so busy playing.
Yes.
I am retired, and reading your book and playing, that's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yep.
Regular meals and all that.
Uh, I'm the cook, so I do that too.
Well,
I got
I
a few
cook,
years to go.
I cooked until my brother and I retired to move down here, and he's a retired gourmet cook.
Ah,
Nice.
I don't mind that at all.
no, nothing wrong with that. I enjoy cooking. I cook in a bunch of different styles that I've learned. Um, you know, Malaysian, Singapore styles when I like to cook in. Um, Various Asian styles. Uh, uh, I just really enjoy cooking.
I enjoy thinking about it. And I have a restaurant in the big
Yeah,
city in my urban campaign, and
yeah.
I detailed the fictional and somewhat fantasy menu. And it's part of what's published. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who say, "Where's my new broadsword?" or "Do I have 3 new spells?" and would ignore the fact that but it was fun for me.
I like that kind of stuff too. Where I find it a lot is actually in a lot of anime. They like food and they do a lot of stuff with food in their animes and the mangas. I don't watch a lot of anime, but my son does. And so he
Mhm.
directs things to me that he thinks I would be interested in.
Oh, nice. Yeah, anime has really gotten sophisticated over the years.
Oh, yeah. When I was, the first thing I ever saw was Simba the White Lion way back when I was actually still living at my mother's house before I left.
I remember that. Speed Racer, Battle of the
Yep.
Planet.
Oh, yeah. And my younger brother, was a year and a half younger, and he was just young enough so he caught that. He freaking adored anime, and I couldn't stand it. I used to make fun of it all the time. But I've learned to, watching it from my son's perspective, I've learned a lot about it and learned to appreciate a lot of it.
For the films, they'd probably be very early anime if they were anime. The films about the uh, Yamamoto, the battleship being raised from the bottom and re-equipped
Oh
as a
yeah,
Yep,
spaceship.
Battleship Yamato.
yep, yep,
Were those anime?
Oh,
They
yeah.
were. Well,
yep.
then I've watched some anime movies and I really kind of like them, but I've never watched any more of them.
There's actually a couple of series I think that were done with
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Star Blazers was one, right? Star
Yep,
Blazers,
Star Blazers.
and they did one. I think it was called Battleship Yamato.
Oh,
No, I think the
new.
Battleship Yamato was Star Blazers.
Oh, was it just an alternate title?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
They Americanized it.
Right.
The lineage. I have a friend named Ray who keeps track of that stuff for me.
Scott, my friend Scotty, the guy I told you about for Michael Scott, he's a total nerd in anime, and he tells me all kinds of stuff about it. So
I
I don't
didn't
really
even
follow
realize
it, but I
I'd
watch a
watched
little
that.
bit. What's that?
I didn't realize I'd watched any.
It sneaks up on you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to escape it.
Yep. Which brings me into what I wanted to talk about, which was the whole isekai RPG lit um, role playing game idea. And this is an isekai is a trope in manga and which is the comics from Japan. Manhwa is, for instance, the ones from China. And the manga comes in and they have various tropes that they use. And one of them is the isekai. And the isekai is a person who comes to another world, like John Carter of Mars, for instance, and is there in the other world, but he comes from someplace else, some other universe, some other time, whatever it is. It's different, a different place, different cultures. And so he learns to do stuff there, and so the isekai is that, and that's a very, very, very common feature of anime. And the other part, the RPG Lit, is a spin-off of this, where the character, when they come in, they all of a sudden realize that they can call up a magical screen that will show them their current status and other things about themselves that they didn't know in numbers. It can tell them their number, the rating of their strength. It can tell them what spells they can access or what skills they can use, and they can see it like it's a character sheet.
Yeah,
And what I was laughing about was I was thinking of your talk with what's his name on the our RPG Net on the clocks, right?
Oh God, yeah.
And thinking like a lot of those clocks might actually be in character in that kind of a role playing game. Because you
Yes,
actually would know them.
They would be dietic.
Yes. I couldn't resist the thought of talking to you about that. And I just thought it was funny.
Yes, if you were doing an RPG of a lit RPG setting, yes,
Yes.
the clocks would be dietic because they could actually perceive it in the world.
Right.
Oh, great. Now we have an actual in-game example.
It just struck me so funny. I couldn't wait to tell you. Because I know there's this whole thing going back and forth, and it's so funny. Won't talk about that particular discussion, but this aspect of it really tickled me. And you can actually
You
have
need to
clocks
bring
that
that up,
are.
man. Why do you keeping it to yourself?
I'm spreading it around through the podcast
Okay.
as a responsible guy. I'm a member here.
All right. Instigator.
So we'll see if anybody's actually reading this stuff.
I can't think of any actual RPG that. I mean, I'm sure there's 1,000 indies out there. I'm sure many of them build on the lit RPG genre, but I can't think of any larger RPG that actually plays on that trope.
I can't either, but
No,
it certainly is possible.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why it's not to. And yes, all that stuff would be dietic. Even
Yep.
hit points would be dietic.
Yes, they would. Yes, you
Am
have
I
to
saying that
spend hit
word
points.
Dietic?
No, I don't think. I think it's close to that though. I knew what you were I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the words escaping me right now. I am 69, so words sometimes drift away from me, and I can't grasp them, which is horrible because I'm a writer.
you get a long time to get them back. It's public
Oh, hold on. I'm going to ask ChatGPT. How do you pronounce the word dietic? Yeah, I mucked it up so bad. There. Diegetic.
Diegetic, yes, that's the word, diegetic. So it's close. You were real close. You're close enough. I knew what you were talking about.
Now, of course, I'm going to wonder if there's a word dietic, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I don't know. My group is, I wouldn't say we're notorious because it's an in joke, but so back in the
Newt-
day, I thought chaotic evil paladins was stupid
Uh-huh.
because anti-paladins would not be chaotic because paladins are by definition are some form of organization. They're divine warriors in service to the god.
Right.
Chaotic evil is too chaotic. They would just wouldn't be that organized. So a proper anti-paladin would be lawful evil.
Right.
So I didn't want to call them paladin, so I look on the D&D level chart, and this is back pre-internet, so I was using a half-assed dictionary, and I looked up what Myrmidon meant, and it said one who obeys. And I thought that's a good fit. So I made a lawful evil paladin class, called it Myrmidon, except I
Uh-huh.
didn't call it Myrmidon because I didn't know how it was pronounced. I called it Meriadan. Okay, and everybody looks at that level title 2 and that class name. Hey, yep, it's Meriadan.
Yeah.
Well, now flash forward to the 2000 when that Troy movie came out.
Yeah. Right.
And my friend, one of my best friends, is sitting there. He's watching Troy with the closed captioning on,
Yeah.
and he sees Brad Pitt. He's at the prow of the boat. They're doing lining, and he goes, "Go forth, my uh, Myrmidon,"
Myrm-
Right.
and he sees it flash up. Wait a minute, what did he call it? And he rewound it and listened to it again. And yeah, it's the word. And he, Myrmidons. And it's like, so the next day, the next time we got together, and he said, "Hey, guys, you know Meridians, right?" "Yeah." For 2 decades, we've been pronouncing it wrong." "What do you mean?" "It's Myrmidon. Go watch Troy. It's on HBO. Go watch it. It's it's Myrmidon." "No shit." So, but we still call it Meridian because that's what we always called it.
Right. Of course. By custom, it's become a real word with that meaning. That's that is the thing I love about the English language. It's so easy to change. You can put stuff into it.
I know, and it's just that damn bow ship that we had in the 15th century or whatever.
oh, you weren't old enough for that. You can't tell me anything about
We're
that.
not that old.
He was.
I'm I'm Proto-European.
There we go. Proto-European. I love it.
Proto-Indo-European, the language family.
Yeah.
Well,
I love
I guess it's
it's.
getting to the witching hour.
Yes, it is.
I
We've
don't.
been on for about an hour. You want to call it tonight now? And we can get
Yeah,
together
I got
next
to get
week.
there. I got work. Unlike you, retired folks, I got to go to work tomorrow.
Oh my God.
I got to pay for
Work.
your Social Security.
I
Hey,
know. They spent all the stuff I put in.
hey, it's
That's
just
just the way
money.
it is. It's a Ponzi scheme writ large.
Uh,
So
yeah, let's not get into politics. But yeah, so
general skepticism is not
are
unwarranted.
we good for next week then, guys?
I'm cool.
Fine, fine by me.
Okay.
Right.
Maybe we'll be lucky and Frank can join us. I miss
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, definitely.
I like his insights. I think he
Indeed.
comes from a slightly different place, which is really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I've been chatting him for a better part of a year, trying to help him out with
Hmm.
adapting Blackmarsh to his Cold Iron RPG, and
Hmm.
it's been really great talking with him about stuff. And he asks questions that challenge my preconception, which only helps my stuff. So
Right. Absolutely. That's always the hardest part for any artist to do, unless you're is get real feedback. what you're doing. Get real feedback to what you're doing. Someone who not only will tell you whether it's good or bad, but will tell you why.
Why it's good or bad, yeah.
Yeah, that's
more
so
yes.
important. That helps you so much. I miss that.
Well,
I really miss that. I worked with my father for a long time, for 10 years, directly under him, and it was an amazing experience. So
Oh yeah, I had the privilege of working with my dad. Although he was more mechanical and I was more software,
right,
but it was cool.
it just transferred a lot of his knowledge to me, and uh, taught me everything you know. And you still don't know nothing, he said.
mhm. I taught you everything you know, but you still don't
No,
know
I taught
nothing.
you everything I know, and you still don't know nothing.
Yep. Uh,
All right. It's been wonderful, guys. I really enjoyed this. I just enjoyed the same thing. I could probably talk for hours more, but I
Yeah,
know some people have to work.
indeed.
and some of us just have to sleep.
Yeah, some of you do. Not me, but you guys. The sleep is just for the weak.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take
You
care.
too.
Bye.
Bye.